Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm Guy, and today on the channel I wanted to talk about something that I just read, well, last night technically, but I didn't get a chance to put this video together until today. I was looking around on the Rolex forums and I came across this thread that said, confirmed, news regarding the professional line. And if you go on to read this post, the important part to focus in on is that it says, Rolex is letting all authorized dealers in writing know that, effective immediately, they will cut back the production of all professional line watches, not only stainless steel, but two-tone and precious metal. Now, this was posted by Gerardo G. So I don't know who that is, but my first reaction to that was, well, I've seen people post things like this a lot. I've seen people come onto the forums and say, my authorized dealer told me a price increase is coming. And the majority of people will dismiss that as a sales tactic. They're going to say, oh yeah, the salesman is trying to get you to buy right now. They're trying to get you scared that if you don't pull the trigger 3 days from now, it's going to be 10% more expensive. That, was kind of my initial reaction was, is it another one of these types of things? Well, I went on and read some more of the posts in this thread, and for whatever reason, some people made similar comments to my initial reaction, but the majority of people on there were saying, no, if this guy, Gerardo G is saying that it's true, it's true. He's given a lot of credibility amongst the community on this Rolex forum, for whatever reason. I don't know him from Adam, so I can't really say, like, yeah, I trust his word too. Like, how would he have this information? But the majority of the folks on this thread talking about this topic are giving him a lot of credibility for coming up with this information. Where he got it from, I'm not entirely certain. But that raises some interesting questions. What is going to happen to the Rolex brand, in particular the professional sports models moving forward? If Rolex does limit the production, cut back on production of those watches, and the watches that we're of course talking about are going to be things like the Submariner, the Sea Dweller, the Explorer 2, I guess the Air King, all of those stainless steel models and their variants that come in two tones of precious metals. What's going to happen to the collector community, the consumer market at large, if they cut back production? There's already a lot of people in a lot of different locations that are on wait lists up to a year or more for getting something as simple as a ceramic Submariner. If they cut back production, it's conceivable that those wait lists could become astronomical. They could become insurmountable. If you're looking for one of these watches new in box from an authorized dealer, it may frankly never happen. So that is really interesting. Why would they want to go ahead and cut back production on these watches that they're selling at an alarming rate? There are people willing to wait a year. It's something that I'm wondering, and I'd like to hear what your guys' thoughts are on that. So why would they want to cut production on these extremely popular watches? There's all sorts of conspiracy theories, people saying, oh, they're cutting production to get ready for a price increase. They're trying to create more cachet amongst the brand. They're trying to move up market. They want to cut out the gray market dealers. They don't want all of these watches flooding into the gray market. There's all sorts of people talking about all sorts of different conspiracy theories onto why this could possibly be happening. I don't really know. I don't exactly have an opinion. What do I think? Why do I think they would do that? If it is in fact true, if that is in fact the plan moving forward to limit the production of these watches, it makes sense. Maybe it's just a short-term lull or reduction in production. Maybe they're preparing to put that new 32-35 movement in all of those watches, and perhaps it's not entirely ready to roll out yet. So there's a lot of different reasons on why this could happen if it does in fact happen. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? If Rolex is in fact doing this, if they're in fact cutting production down on their GMT Master IIs, on their Submariners, why? I honestly have no idea, but I am really sort of intrigued to find out if this is true, and we're probably not going to find out any answers until after Baselworld 2018, which is in sometime in March, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, chime in down in the comments if you believe that this is true or not, and if so, what do you think is the motivation behind this? Now obviously Rolex makes money hand over fist already. If you look up the biggest, most profitable companies in the world, Rolex isn't in the top 10, but they're in the top 100. I believe the last time I looked, they might have been in the top 50 or 60, somewhere in that area. Certainly the biggest and most profitable watch brand, I think with the exception of Cartier, but they're technically not just a watch brand, but they were a little bit higher. But amongst luxury goods, there were very few companies above them. Cartier, maybe Louis Vuitton, not much. So, I mean, they are a humongous company. They make money hand over fist. Why would they want to theoretically make less money? What's the motivation there behind that? Now, obviously, I'm a fan of the Rolex brand. I have my Rolex Submariner 116610, and I'm in love with that watch. I've had it now for going on 3 or 4 months, and apparently I maybe just got really lucky in picking it up in September or October of 2017. There certainly was a shortage going through the holiday season of 2017. And there was no confirmed explanation to that, but what people assumed was the case was Rolex cuts back on production at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, they set a certain number or a goal of production, and they met and exceeded that number early in 2017. They sold more watches than they anticipated, so they just weren't making any more at the end of 2017. That is, I guess, the conspiracy theory as to why there was such a big shortage going into the end of 2017. But now we're in 2018, and by the looks of it, it hasn't picked back up. There's still a shortage out there, and then we hear news like this, that their intention is to limit their production. Definitely a little bit curious, definitely a little bit puzzling, but I digress. Yeah, I got lucky, perhaps, in that I jumped on mine at the very last possible moment. Are there anyone out there watching this video that are maybe getting really close to pulling the trigger on a Submariner, on a GMT, on an Explorer, and faced with that prospect of potentially having to wait an inordinate amount of time? Are you considering other brands now? And maybe this is the first time you've heard this information. Whether or not it's true, again, I can't confirm. But if it does turn out to be the case, and you're confronted with the prospect of having to wait for a year or 2 years or an unknown, indeterminate amount of time, are you going to move to other brands? I think that's really the first thing that sticks to me. How many people are just going to throw their hands up and say, I was going to buy my first Rolex, I was going to buy a GMT Master II, I was going to buy a Submariner, but I'm not willing to wait that time, that amount of time. I'm not willing to go pay exorbitant premiums, secondhand or pre-owned, or potentially through gray market if I want to get new. So I'm going to go buy an Omega or an IWC or, some other brand. So yeah, what would you do in that situation if you're, faced with that decision? And, this is first world problems. It's not like it's a super tough decision. Oh no, which luxury watch am I going to buy? I can't get a Rolex. But I'm curious, would you, jump ship? Would you go for a different brand? Maybe it's a Grand Seiko. Maybe you say, okay, well, I can't get the Explorer one, so I'll get, a nice Grand Seiko High Beat or a Snowflake or something. I'll go ahead and I'll pick up a Seamaster, 300 Professional or something. If it were me, what would I do? That's a tough decision. I might consider the gray market avenue, but I'm going to guess that the premium that we're going to see is just going to continue to rise and rise and rise. I know going through the holidays, you couldn't even find a Submariner, standard no-date Submariner. You couldn't even find one for retail, which is like $75.50 United States or US dollars. You're going to pay a premium above that for gray market, potentially even pre-owned. So if they're doing this in order to raise the price, maybe we're going to see a 10 or a 20% increase in the price of those models, along with the potential of extremely long wait times. Yeah, I might go for a different brand. I might consider that Seamaster. The Seamaster was actually sort of on my top 2 or 3 list of watches when I was deciding what I was going to get in that sort of first high-end or luxury timepiece. But I went with the Rolex because that's the one that connected with me the most. I'm really happy that I got that. And again, I'm sort of counting my blessings or thanking my lucky stars that I potentially got in there just in the nick of time. What does this mean for people that are on wait lists when their watch finally does show up? In my case, I walked into the store and they had several Submariner dates in the display case. So I had my, quote unquote pick of the litter, and I was able to negotiate a decent discount. I got more or less 12% and, had to pay sales tax on top of that. So, not quite 12%, but I got a 12% discount off of MSRP or the retail price. Will there be discounts anymore? I'm guessing no. I'm guessing if they're getting less and they've got dozens, potentially hundreds of people in line willing to buy them, the concept of getting a discount on a new Submariner, on a new GMT, on a new Explorer, that's out the window and over with. So, there's that. That's a little bit, I was going to say concerning. We'll put that in quotes, quote unquote, concerning, because again, first world problems, like, oh no, which luxury watch am I going to buy? Am I going to get a discount on something I'm willing to spend $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 on? In the grand scheme of things, not important. But for the purposes of this discussion, it's an interesting topic to ponder, I guess, because nobody wants to overpay for something. Everybody wants to get a deal, whether it's a new watch or a new car or a new house, whatever you're buying, you're hoping to pay less than the guy next to you. That's just the way human beings work, I guess. Everybody wants to get a steal or get a deal. So yeah, do we think they're going to be giving discounts on Submariners anymore if this turns out to come to fruition? I seriously doubt it. Probably going to be paying full MSRP from authorized dealers. And when they hit the secondary market, when they hit gray market, you're going to be paying a premium, is my guess. I guess I'll close out this video asking one more question, and that is, if this turns out to be true, is it a good idea? Does it further the brand of Rolex? Does it make the brand better? What does it do for the watch industry as a whole? A Rolex, along with probably Omega and a number of other brands, are sort of aspirational pieces, aspirational watches, aspirational consumer goods. It's something that not everybody, there's obviously enough wealthy people out there to just walk in and buy it at a whim, but for a lot of us, it's something that you work up towards, that you save up for, that you use to celebrate a really important occasion in your life. Maybe it's having a child, getting married, a promotion or a new job, some sort of other type of success. There's going to have to be something else, I guess, to fill that void. If you can't do it with, my first Rolex, I bought this Rolex because XYZ happened. You can't just go in and buy one anymore. Maybe you settle for something else. Maybe you say, well, I still want a Rolex. I guess it's going to be a Datejust, because as I understand it, those Datejust 2s, those types of watches are not going to be affected by this. They're just talking about the professional line of sports watches. So maybe that's part of their angle. Maybe they're trying to sell more Datejust, although as I understand it, the Datejust sells ridiculously already, more so than any other watch they sell. They don't outsell the Datejust with Explorers, Submariners, GMT Master IIs. The Datejust outsells them all, as I understand it, 5-to-1, 10-to-1, something like that. It's significant. So it's not like, are they trying to sell more of those watches? Maybe they make more per Datejust sold. Maybe that's the goal. I don't really know. But, the point of my question is, now what does a person do if they're looking for this aspirational, celebratory thing, this Rolex or whatever, as something to be a milestone marker in their lives? Maybe Omega becomes that. I mean, they have some cool watches too. I think it's a little strange that Rolex would do this if that's their goal. But, it's a strange company. They aren't a standard corporation in the sense that, as I understand it anyway, they are owned by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. So all the money that Rolex makes gets funneled into there, and then eventually it's essentially a non-profit. They put money into charities. They don't pay out shareholders. They don't pay out owners and things like that. They of course pay their bills. They of course pay their salaries. They of course put money back into the company, reinvesting in themselves. But the quote-unquote profits go towards different charities. So maybe they just don't care about making more money. Maybe that's not part of their goal. Maybe they think that this is how you build a better, stronger brand for the future. Maybe this is how you compete with the smartwatch generation that's coming up. I don't really know. If you look at the SIHH, you can see that a lot of these, this just happened last week or whatever, the SIHH trade show. A lot of these high-end brands are actually bringing out more affordable watches. I want to say Vacheron came out with their first, and it might not have been Vacheron, maybe it was somebody else, but one of those really high-end brands came out with their first non-precious metals watch at their most affordable price point that they've ever released. So there's other big brands that are trying to reach people more down in that middle class area. They're not trying to cater and placate only to the super upper class. Whereas with this thing that Rolex is talking about doing, potentially, it seems like it's going in the opposite direction. I don't know what they're thinking. It's a little strange. But anyway, I saw that post, that news, if you will, and it's obviously not official news. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about it here, to make a little video discussing it, to get your guys' feedback on it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think it's true? If it is true, what do you think the impact will be on the industry as a whole, on collectors? All of your thoughts and feedback, put that down below. I always love reading all of that stuff. I reply as often as I can. As always, please like and share this video. In the notes or description below this video is a list of ways that you can help support the channel, not the least of which is joining all of my social media accounts, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, supporting me on Patreon, and of course using my Amazon affiliate links. That really adds up. All you guys that use my affiliate links, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Until next time, I want to say thank you for checking out this video, and I'll be back later this week with a review. All right, take care, guys. Bye.